Over the last several months, these mass calls have been a chance for people in our movements to get together, to process both the emotions and the strategic that this roller coaster of an election year has presented to us. We planned this call a long while back, knowing that we would need a rallying point to check in on what our next moves were going to be. The flow of this call, for folks that are familiar, is going to be similar to the others in that we're going to start getting emotionally grounded. We're going to feel our grief. We're going to feel our rage. We're going to feel our sadness, all the feeling. But we're also going to push ourselves to move into a clearer emotional space. This is essential because if we're not grounded, if we're caught in the swirl and the chaos, we're not going to be able to make good strategic decisions or to help those around us get grounded and stay clear about the work that is responsible to us ahead of us. Then after that, we'll do some political education about what this moment we find ourselves in means. We don't do this as a luxury. We do it as a strategic necessity, because when we're aligned around the bigger strategy, we're able to take coordinated actions together. Then you're going to hear from some of the most trusted movement leaders in this country. They're going to share with you strategic insights and provide concrete calls to action for what you and your organizations, what you and your communities can do to get and stay in formation as we launch into this next phase of our organizing. Y'all, we've got live captioning for folks who need or want it. If you're tuning in on the live stream, welcome. If you're watching on YouTube, welcome. Say hey in the chat. If you're watching on Facebook, welcome. Do the same. If you're watching on Free Speech TV, welcome. And if you're watching the recording later, we love you. Thank you. And if you're tuning in through a space with a chat, feel free to say hey to one another. Be gracious. Show each other some love. And if you're on the internet and people are being disrespectful, stay focused on the good work that we're doing here together tonight. Love each other. Make sure we're amplifying the love that's being shared in these trying times. This call is about bringing us together, not splintering under the stress and chaos of these times. Y'all, nothing about this entire election has come easy. And now we're in the hardest part of all of it. Yet we stuck together best as we could through everything, even with the temptation of straining and fracturing under the tensions and contradictions of this election. Thousands, not really, even millions of us held together. It's not been a journey without its bumps, but at every step of the way, when we could have backed away, when we could have gone to our corners and gossiped or openly fought each other with no win for anybody, we chose the path of principled struggle. Many of us came out the other end even clearer, more committed to the practice of unity and solidarity and an unwavering desire to be stronger together. Let me say that again, because in the pain of this loss and the anxiety of where we are, what we might feel coming in our bones, we may feel like what I just said was wrong. So let me just give it to you one more time, a little clearer. Our movements have an opportunity right now to be more clear, more unified, and stronger than before. Over the last year, we may have frayed around the edges, but our core has held together. So even though we're all arriving hurting a lot right now, let's also take a moment to appreciate what we did. When an election is said and done, it's super easy to count up our electoral wins and our losses on a tally sheet. But the work to prevent this fracturing, to hold our people and our movements together through the lowest of lows and the highest of highs this year, that should be on our tally sheet too. There's certainly more to do to heal what's been pulling us apart from one another, and we must visibilize the product of countless hours of invisible emotional labor. It is the product of hours of gritty determination, principled debate, and strategic clarity. When they write the histories of these moments, they rarely see this work and the people who do it. But I see you. I see you. I see the thousands of you on this call, and I know the vast majority of you left every single thing on the field for this election. I want to invite you, just for a second, to, in your mind's eye, see each other. Wherever you may be watching this live stream, I invite you to close your eyes for just a minute I invite you to imagine the thousands of other movement organizers, the activists, strategists, the educators, the door knockers and phone callers, the emotional grounders and healers, and people who care deeply about the future of our people that are on this call tonight. Really see them. Realize that though we may be miles apart, though we may have different ideological beliefs and identities, we're all striving to build and belong in beloved community. Breathe that in. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Breathe in our unity. And then a deep breath out through your mouth. Breathe that out, the temptation to spend more time playing the blame game than executing the strategies and implementing the tactics to change our conditions. This call represents a wide cross-section of the United Front that's been organizing for many, many months, if not years, to block the authoritarian takeover of this country. Now, you may be tuning into this call as someone who's not even sure that elections are your thing, but you may have still been involved in this broad effort to defeat MAGA at the ballot box. You may be tuning in as someone obsessed with politics who's voted for Democrats your whole life. And you may have a hard time understanding why people just don't see it as clearly as you do, that we should support Democrats to move the country forward. You may be tuning in as someone who doesn't quite understand why people see the appeal of Trump or why people would be drawn to his MAGA politics. You're sitting with genuine curiosity or maybe even frustration and anger. And maybe, just maybe, you're someone who does understand the appeal of Trump because at one time you supported him too. Or maybe people you love and care about support or supported him. Or maybe you're a leftist who feels deep frustration at the many calls to move the Democrats to the center at the expense of targeted and marginalized communities, at the expense of suffering people. And in normal times, it's pretty safe to say that most of us on this call would have never chosen to be part of a Cheney to Chomsky United Front to do anything, but here we are. And everyone, every single one of you, every single one of us is welcome in this space tonight. We are here because none of us alone has the power to defeat the wickedness that has taken hold of our country. And none of us alone is capable of surviving on our own in the face of this threat to democracy. Since we're all together, since we're all united to defend our country and each other, we are also going to talk about what it's going to take to make sure that we're never in this situation ever again. This is the real talk that we will not shy away from, because none of what we are up against right now happens in a vacuum. And together, we need to have the courage to face those hard truths, just like we have had the courage to stand together to block this authoritarian threat. So, yeah, the outcome of this election is incredibly painful. And our assignment right now is to feel our feelings, to get grounded, to move strategically, to help others do the same. Our job is not to believe or spread rumors, but to lean into our organizations, because our organization is our strength. We need to feel our bodies, wholly supported by this planet, this incredible earth that sustains us. Before we dive into what the conditions are right now, can we just take a moment to feel rooted, to feel grounded, to feel supported, firmly planted on the ground, wherever you are. Feel the gentle pressure of the floor holding us up, connected to this incredible earth. We're all in this together, y'all. I'm ready. I know you're ready. We have everything we need in our bones. Let's do this. I want you to take one more deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, while I remind you that if this call is useful to you, you can join us back here for future calls. RSVP now as we prepare to move towards January's inauguration together. Go to the Mobilize link that you can see on your screen, www.mobilize.us/workingfamilies/event/342586. Now we're going to get into a conversation about the conditions, where we stand. I'm going to bring up two incredible movement leaders, folks that are literally taking charge in this moment where there's so much chaos and confusion. You're going to hear some clarity about where we stand right now and what must be done. I'm going to bring up the incredible executive director of Move On. Rana, come on in the room. And I'm going to bring up Leah Greenberg, the co-founder and co-executive director of Indivisible. Y'all come on up. If you are in a place where you can give a chat, show some love to our folks.
Oh, hello.
Folks, welcome, welcome. Rana, like, get us started. Tell me what's going on. Where do we stand, and what's the call to action here?
Yeah, thank you, Ash. And hi, Leah. And hi, everyone. I am so grateful for people taking time to be here together tonight. Let's be honest, none of us want to be having this call that we're having right here. And yet, this is where we are. We have to accept the reality of where we are, and we got to move forward. So I want to remind us all the emotions that Ash talked about are real. And I want to remind us that this right here, coming together in community, is how we get through. It's how we will take all that we're feeling and we will transform those feelings into meaningful action. It's how we will begin to pick ourselves up and get ready to fight for what we believe in once again, because we're not going nowhere. We are not going nowhere. And the one feeling of all those that Ash went through, the one feeling we cannot allow ourselves to sit in is hopelessness. And I know for some folks on the call, maybe that's a tall order right now to ask you to keep hope alive, but hope is the fuel we need. Hope that there are still more people who believe in love and peace over hate and divisiveness. Hope that there are still people out there who will fight to protect and care for people they don't even know. Most of you on this call today, I don't know, but I know that we're going to have each other's back. Hope that we can and we will prevail. Super essential. And yet we know hope alone is not enough. Hope is not a strategy. And we'll talk, I want to say a bit more about strategy momentarily, but I wanted to just start by reminding us that we absolutely cannot allow ourselves to give up, because it is all worth fighting for. Everything we've been doing, everything you've been doing in your lives, it's worth fighting for. Our families, our freedoms, our healthcare, our climate, the rule of law, so much that we're going to talk about here tonight. It's all worth it. And let's be honest, you're not giving up. You're here tonight, and I'm not either. It's just not who we are. We may be tired, we may be pissed. I'm personally enraged, but we are not going anywhere. And our work didn't end when the polls closed on election night, and our work didn't end when we learned the outcome of the election the next morning, and it will not end here tonight. And remember that Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans are counting on us to give up and to let them just take over this country. And last time I checked, more than 66 million people voted against their hate-filled agenda, and we're not going to let them run away with our freedoms and our democracy. That's not who we are. So just wanted to start there. So in this moment, we can feel the feelings, but soon we are going to need to raise our collective voices. We're going to need to not be complacent. We cannot be silent. We cannot give into fear and hopelessness. History has shown us that with each setback, our fight for progress comes back stronger, louder, and more effective. So what are we going to do? Which is probably something you're also interested in hearing about. I want to talk a little bit about what we're going to do. And first, I want to talk a little bit about in the next few months, and then I'll share a bit about the next several years. So in the next few months, first, our most immediate imperative is to be together, is to be there for one another. Our greatest threat in this moment is not MAGA. It is not Trump. It is not Elon Musk. Our greatest threat in this moment is despair. And we know people out there right now, I'm sure everyone here on this call knows people right now who are struggling. They're grappling with what has happened. All of us are as well. We can't allow one another to be alone. Our fear, our anger, our sorrow, our confusion, it must be given space. We must come together and take care of one another. Super critically important step number one. So what does that mean for the immediate next several days, several weeks? What we are inviting folks to do on this call is to organize your own community neighborhood gatherings. Bring your people together to process, reconnect, and scheme strategically about the ways we can protect one another, protect our democracy, our country as we move forward. Bring your family members if you want to. Bring your friends, your neighbors, bring people together. On the site you're watching this right now, wearefightingfor.org, you can scroll down and there's a place where you can sign up to host one of these in your community. And we're going to make it super easy for you. But if you can be that connection point for others who are feeling how you feel right now, that is an incredible amount of power and agency that you can exercise to actually help basically light a fire under a movement that we need to spark for years to come. So sign up there. When you do, you'll get a toolkit. You'll get the support you need. There are trainings. We're making it very easy for folks. We want folks to bring together folks in their community between now and Thanksgiving or after. And then let us not forget that as Trump takes office, he's going to shed this mantle of change and become the candidate of a corrupt and dysfunctional administration with a deeply unpopular agenda. We know their agenda is massively unpopular. So what we're doing in the next few months is we are going to prepare now to leverage the inevitable backlash to land a meaningful blow to Trump's Project 2025 within the first 100 days. Because we don't just want to stop bad things from happening, which in and of itself, substantively, being able to do that is important. But also within the first 100 days, we want to remind us and the country that we do have agency, we do have power, and when we exercise it, we can make an impact. So that is the immediate few months. Then I want to talk about the next several years, because unfortunately, he's going to be in office for 4 years. So we have to strategically prepare to defy the MAGA agenda. And Trump would like us to believe that our power was evaporated in a single night. And that is simply not true. Look around us. I think we have over 100,000 people RSVP'd for this call tonight. So we need a long game, not just a short game. We need a long game. We have one. We offer it with humility. But many of us have been strategizing for over a year now. And to be successful, our big ecosystem, the big tent of volunteers, activists, leaders, civil society institutions, we all must work together to apply an interlocking set of strategic approaches designed to do 4 things. So number 1, block. We want to do what's necessary to protect and shield things so that we can ensure a small d democratic transition in 2028. So what do I mean? We want to protect democratic functions, communities under threat, and critical civil society institutions, the infrastructure that we need in order to ensure a democratic transition in 2028. We also want to protect and shield the coalition that we need in order to win back power in elections. So we have to seek to rebuild and fortify the majoritarian pro-democracy coalition we need to win back electoral power. On Tuesday, we lost a meaningful action of the anti-MAGA coalition, and that's a bitter pill to swallow. It's also not a permanent reality, but we're going to need to do some work to analyze how it happened and build and fortify a majoritarian coalition we need to regain power back once again. And that is the work in front of us. So that is the work of blocking. Second, break. We need to weaken the MAGA's political strength and their pillars of support. So there are a set of strategies that will be driving in that area. Third, bridge. We need to offer a permission structure for defectors from the MAGA coalition to move into our pro-democracy tent. How do we make that welcome and not hostile for them to do that? We've already seen some defectors. We need even more. And last but not least, build. We need to build our power and advance our ability to deliver transformational change and move forward. So how do we build power and support and infrastructure around our vision for what a multiracial democracy that works for all of us can actually look like. How does that thrive? And how do we make sure there are pillars of support all around that vision? So that's the long game arc. And it's very top line, but we wanted to share it with you. And I won't lie to you. We've got a long road ahead of us, but we are not on this journey alone. We're here together, and this is just the beginning. Our task over the next 4 years will be to harness every ounce of power we have and to use the institutions, levers, and the tactics available to us. And we are staying in this fight because we are worth fighting for. The people we love are worth fighting for. What we believe in and want are always worth fighting for. And when we do, we are going to win back power in the House and Senate with the biggest possible coalition. And we will oust the MAGA movement out of power and build something better, because nothing good in this world happens by just lying down and letting other people walk over you. It happens because we put in the work. So that's our plan. Now we need each other to make it happen. And you're here tonight because I know you know this isn't the end. So let's get to work. Back to you, Ash.
Y'all heard our sister just now. There is a plan and we need to get started moving on it. We got to block and build. We got to bridge and break and do all the things. In a little while, we're going to do some political education on what we mean by all of that to go a little deeper. So just hang around. But here's what you can do right now. Many of you might be watching on this website, but if you haven't, and you're streaming on Free Speech TV or any of the other places, there's a website at the bottom of your screen. On that web page, you can get plugged in right now. When you go there, you can sign up to show interest in hosting a We Are Worth Fighting For community gathering. So if you aren't already there, I want you to go to www.weareworthfightingfor.org. Again, www.weareworthfightingfor.org. At the top of that page, you can indicate interest and you'll receive follow-up information on trainings and other resources. Signing up on the website doesn't commit you to hosting a meeting, but it does get you on the list to find out about those trainings so that you might be able to host your own. The first training, in fact, is tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, y'all. So go sign up for it. Sign up for it right now. And you can also find out about meetings that are going on for many of our organizations that you're going to see on this call. So you can actually get plugged in directly with each of them. Go to the website that you see on your screen and get plugged in. I'm also getting texts that folks are trying to find where to watch. So if you're watching right now, I need you to spread the word that folks can see it on the website. You can go to weareworthfightingfor.org.